My name is Vanessa Willardson with BYU-Idaho Radio, and today joining me in the studio is Daniel Blomberg. He is a Utah music producer and arranger, and he also just released his first solo piano Christmas album, Sacred Christmas. Thank you so much for joining me today, Daniel.
Thanks so much for having me, Vanessa.
Awesome. Well, you just released your first solo piano Christmas album. Can you tell me a little bit about the process behind it?
Yeah. So for the last 6 or so years, I've been working with other people's productions as a working music producer, and I arrange a lot of piano parts and a lot of orchestral parts, a lot of pop and rock parts, etc. And it's really fun to take someone else's song and help it flesh out and come to life in the studio. So it's a full and ready for YouTube or streaming services package type thing when you're done. So this was a little bit different because I actually had to originate all the songs. We did 8 of them, and 7 of them are more or less well-known songs. The last one is an original written by my mother-in-law, June Pope. And it was, in some ways, a lot simpler because I just needed to sit down and kind of get what was in my head and in my heart out onto a recording. And then we had a team member in our company, Blomberg Music Productions, who does all the sheet music for our clients. We just had him transcribe and create the sheet music for the songbook. And and then, of course, there's mixing and mastering. Even though there's just piano, there's all kinds of things that need to be done with the track after it's recorded. So Dave Zimmerman, who I work with for all of our client work, he mixed and mastered the songs. So that was kind of the process.
Awesome. What was the inspiration behind your album, or do you take any inspiration from other artists as well?
I would say, first of all, the way it came about was a conversation with Carrie Yost, who is up in Idaho, who encouraged me to record some of my own stuff because I record a lot of stuff with other people, but not really much with myself as the featured artist. So that's how that came about. And musically, I'd say the inspiration for it is it's a mix of kind of the standard orchestral pop that is fairly prevalent in the Intermountain Corridor, where there's a little bit of a pop sensibility, but it's more of a timeless rather than a modern pop. And then there's a little bit of classical and a little bit of jazz.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is for piano, but you also mentioned you arrange for orchestras as well. Is there orchestral parts, or is it solely piano?
This one is just piano.
Solely piano. Awesome. How long have you been arranging music for?
Oh, wow. A very long time. No, I think in high school is really where things started happening. I've played piano since I was 4 years old. I'm from Sweden, and Sweden has a great big tradition of music. There's probably more choir singers per capita in Sweden than any other place in the world, at least. That's what they told me when I was little.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so there was music all over. My mother was very musical. My father listened to all kinds of music and would point out different things about it to us kids and, show us the stuff that he liked. And so there was a lot of music in the home growing up. My sister and I sang on national Swedish TV when we were young. And so there was always this, making music thing. But when it started to progress from piano and singing to actually helping write parts for other musicians was in middle school. I just realized that, it'd be really fun to get this song that I just wrote played by an actual band. Well, what goes into that? Who do I know? And then it kind of became this bass, drums, guitar, piano. I had a trumpet player play the melody, and I screwed up the transposing of his part, even though I knew that I had to transpose it. I didn't do it properly. And so he had to, kind of figure that out in his head as we were rehearsing. And it was, a bit of a mess, but it was enough for me to realize that, oh my gosh, this is fun. This is really fun. And then, started a band, moved down to another city for high school, started another band, and then started arranging for other students there and kind of became the go-to arranger in a way among my friends. And then served my mission, arranged lots of choir parts there for missionary choirs. And then I went to BYU Provo and kind of just kept going on that. There's been a lot of arranging, writing for other people throughout the years. I took about 8 to 10 years off to do other things, and then music luckily found me again, and I'm happy as can be.
That's wonderful. Are there any challenges that you have overcome with arranging music? I mean, it sounds like it could be difficult with all of the different parts, especially with orchestral music.
Yeah, so it's definitely complex, and yeah, I would say so. But what's probably the bigger challenge is getting to do it in the first place. Blomberg Music Productions, which my wife Catherine and I run together, has existed for about 6.5 years. And during that time, just having the experience of building a company around what I love to do has been, there's definitely challenges with that, with the process. So I'd say that'd probably be the biggest challenge, because it's one thing to write for other people, and it's another thing to do it enough so that you can actually provide for a family. And that's launched us into the process of, just really studying the process of business and making sure it's enlightened business principles so that we are always providing high value for our customers and doing it in a way that the Lord could be proud of us. Business gets a bad rap, but I actually believe that it's a spiritual path.
Wow, like a spiritual gift.
Yeah, I mean, like a way to serve your fellow men. It's a way to organize resources and people and principles and ideas to make the world a better place.
Wow. And you include faith a lot in your music as well.
Oh, always, yes. Yeah. Our company mission statement is to flood the earth with God's music. So we only do things that are uplifting, if not always outwardly religious.
That's awesome. Did you always think you would run a music production company?
No.
No.
I mean, as a kid, I hoped I would be able to be a musician growing up, but then life hits, and I got married and had kids, and realized that there were other paths, other gifts of mine that I could use that would be more stable for a family. And so we did that for quite a while. And then when the Lord kind of tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, it's time to get back into music, and my wife had a similar experience at around the same time, then it was still a couple of years of prep time before we realized what that would mean and how we'd be able to go about it. But yeah, it's definitely been a journey. And I didn't know the first thing about business when we started. So to know that we'd kind of be working for ourselves, that was far-fetched. I was in my 30s before that thought ever hit.
Oh, wow. So tell me about the moment when you and your wife realized that you wanted to start this music production company.
Oh, wow. Well, so we were living in Sweden. We got married while going to BYU Provo, and then lived in England for a year. I got a master's degree there, and then moved to Sweden. Lived in Sweden for 7 years. And then we just started kind of feeling like we needed to do something else. We were out on an island in the middle of the Baltic Sea called Gotland, and it was great for our young family, but it just felt like we needed to go do something else. and our thoughts were led to Jordan in the Middle East. I've been trying to learn Arabic for a little while, and we just felt a pull. And we ended up spending a summer in Utah, because that's where my wife's family is from, while we were kind of getting ready for the move to Jordan. And during that summer, we met a lot of people in personal development, took some classes, and really just kind of had our eyes opened to what's possible. And our desire that we've shared since we met to serve the Lord together and, serve with our talents, and not just on a few hours on Sunday type thing, but really give our lives over to the Lord, was just amplified and strengthened by all the things we were doing. And around that time, we felt like, oh, we need to get back into music. And we did not know how to do that, because I'd just taken on a job in the Middle East that was not a music job. And funnily enough, I was teaching at a university, and I ended up teaching music every single semester that I worked there. And I don't know if we thought that was it, but then we came back to the U.S. and we started a life coaching company. And after a few months, the Lord kind of tapped me on the shoulder again and led my wife to this business training program. And all of these things came about and just kind of happened. And after a false start or two, I was led to contact an old friend from college that I kind of intermittently every couple of years kept in contact with, Dave Zimmerman. Dave Zimmerman is a very well-respected audio engineer and producer in Provo. And so I got in touch with him, and within 24 hours, I had my first music client. And within 3 weeks, I had 5 music clients, 4 of whom were referrals from Dave. And in business speak, we talk about product market fit, like when people actually want what you want to give them. And I was like, oh, this is what product market fit feels like. And it was very funny, because this is my main skill set. Like, everyone who has ever known me well knows that I'm a musician. And I just didn't realize that was even a viable option, because there's so many lies about how you can't make a living as a musician, where the reality is that there are many people who make a living as a musician. It's not always this, feast or famine, like you're either very, very famous or you're eating ramen noodles every day. There's a lot of in between. And so just realizing that, wow, this is an option. This is a life that we could build for our family. Wow. And this could very well be where the Lord wants us to serve. And just being able to do what I love all day, every day it's an amazing thing. So.
That's awesome. What was the public response like when you first opened?
Oh, I wouldn't say that we were that well known very fast. I think it was more of a gradual thing. After I did a few things for Dave, we started just saying, well, wouldn't it be awesome if we could just produce together? And it was very gradual. No one knew me at first, or very few people knew who I was. I'd been out of the country for 10 years or so, and it was Dave's network that started bringing me in as an arranger, and Dave and I started co-producing the albums. And when people started kind of recognizing my name is when Shauna Edwards, who also went to college with Dave and me, when she and I started working together again, and my name started appearing on her sheet music as an arranger. And then I started working with Angie Killian, and between those two, because they have well-established client bases, all of a sudden my name started popping up on people's sheet music that they were buying from Shauna and Angie. And then after that it was a lot faster progress, I would say.
Yeah, and now you're this successful co-founder of this company, and you have released this album. How has the response been to this album so far? I know it's been
very, very fun to get people's comments. because I've been so focused on helping other people's songs sound good ever since we started doing music again. It's been really fun to kind of put something out of my own and have people really enjoy it. So yeah, I've been very pleased.
That's awesome. Where can people listen to it?
Any streaming platform, YouTube, Spotify. If you're listening on YouTube, go to Blomberg Music Productions. Under YouTube, under Spotify. If you're listening via Spotify, just type Daniel Blomberg Sacred Christmas. And it's on most other streaming platforms as well, like Amazon Music, Apple Music, etc. We have a songbook that goes along with it as well, where you can actually play the hymns and Christmas songs on your own. And you can find that at blombergmusicproductions.com/sacred Christmas. Capitalize the S in sacred and the C in Christmas. And that's the URL for how to get the songbook.
Wow, that's good to know. Thank you so much. One question I'm just curious about, are there any unique Blomberg unique touches that are added to the music? When you arrange music, do you have any common themes that are unique to you?
Wow. I guess that's hard for me to say because I sound like me. But if you ask someone else, yeah, they would definitely say that there's a Daniel Blomberg way of playing the piano, and you will recognize that from other things that I've played on, I guess. But yeah, there's always a little undertone of more complex chords, which I think is fun for more advanced pianists to sit and play and kind of experience the Christmas songs in a more perhaps challenging way, piano-wise. If you're an accomplished pianist, this isn't super hard to play. If you're an intermediate pianist, it can be a great challenge to just maybe push yourself a little bit. It's not technically complex; it's harmonically complex, and so it's not super hard to learn to play the chords. I think what's fun for pianists who are kind of starting out is that you can kind of see how a professional pianist would maybe treat a harmonic situation that people have been listening to for hundreds of years. Like, how many different ways can you play Silent Night and still make it sound fresh and new and interesting? And so I've tried to accomplish that in these songs, make them sound harmonically interesting and fresh.
Yeah, I know I'm probably going to go listen to this right after this interview. I'm so curious what it sounds like. So that's so exciting. Do you have anything else to add? Anything you would like listeners to know that we haven't yet discussed?
Wow. Well, I do love discussing our own personal journeys and using our talents to bless other people and to share the love of Jesus Christ with as many people as we can in the best way we can, by using the talents that God gave us. So I would just encourage everyone, if you're feeling like God has something for you to do with music, to pick up the phone and do something, call someone, learn something, like make a first step in the journey, because there's so much joy in developing our talents that God has given us. And I don't know what that looks like for you, but just do something, talk to the Lord, and make a move.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your insights, Daniel, and thank you for joining me in the studio today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Vanessa.